The Curabaya project has been nothing short of astounding since we started getting data back on it from sampling, from surface sampling, and now we've started drilling it. But the work we've been doing in the background as we were preparing our drill program was also sampling new areas, new zones. And the feedback we got back from the geology was absolutely incredible. And we really wanted to double down on this project because we are firm believers in it.
The Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
And welcome. You are watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and well, we've been covering Tier 1 Silver, sponsor of the show, and we're back now with Ivan Bebek, Peter Dembicki, and got news. Peter, I just read today on a press release that, it was a couple of days ago, that you've greatly enhanced your land position. What's with that?
Thanks for having us, Kerry. The Curabaya project has been nothing short of astounding since we started getting data back on it from sampling, from surface sampling, and now we've started drilling it. But the work we've been doing in the background as we were preparing our drill program was also sampling new areas, new zones. And the feedback we got back from the geology was absolutely incredible. So we know we're onto something special here. So we decided to go out and grab those extra claims and increase the size of our property by 50%. So, you know, when investors get to see some of the surface sampling results that we've returned, it really does point to such an amazing system. And we really wanted to double down on this project because we are firm believers in it.
And if you didn't grab the land and the results come out, somebody else was going to get it, right?
It certainly looks like that from our map and our neighbors. The world is definitely on notice. People are watching us closely, and they're watching Curabaya closely. We've had a tremendous amount of incoming interest in it, and it's something we want to hold pretty close to ourselves right now.
Yeah, it was remarkable, Kerry, to get on this belt in the first place. And since we've started seeing this jewelry box on surface, it obviously brought a lot more attention to it. You know, Ballet's right next to us. They've staked a whole bunch more ground lately, and we took where we think the system is going, and we made sure we have everything we would need. We don't feel we've left any ground of consequence behind. Not to say that there couldn't be something next door. All we're going to say is we think we have the best. And to Peter's point, this is, you know, what's going to come in the next few weeks from the footprint's going to get a lot bigger of that really exciting high grade on surface. But importantly, the guys are seeing a lot of structures now and some bigger outcrops. So we're going to get a better look and stuff. So it's going as good as it could possibly go.
All right. And you've begun drilling, right, Ivan?
Yeah, drilling started June 17th, and it's gone really slow. And at the beginning there, and you know, when drilling goes slow, it happens for a few reasons. In the case here, it went slow because we're hitting a lot of silica. We're hitting a lot of veins. We're hitting a lot of fractures. You know, water is a problem when you hit fractures because you need water to keep the drill core from melting or breaking off. And so when you go down into the earth and you're going through these pockets or fractured rock, you can start losing water. You have to put in a clay or, you know, a type of material that will solidify it so you can drill through it. But the silica, the endowment in the silica, the blasted rock, I mean, what we've seen, we're down about 480 meters as I talk to you right now. And what we've seen so far, we've seen some big zones on the way down, blasted, altered rock. And all I'm going to say there without, you know, speaking out of turn is that it's advertising to us as something that has a really good shot to be something pretty spectacular if it's there, right? And obviously the truth machine has to speak to the assay lab and give us the grades and widths, but definitely a lot of rock that could potentially be there. And we're just really excited, and you know, been a lot of sleep lost, and the better it looks, the longer it takes to drill it. You know, it's kind of how it's gone for us. But this is only the first hole, and it feels like we're on hole 2 or 3 because of how far, I guess, for drilling, how long it's taken to get here. But we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot of what it looks like beneath the surface. And I'd say, the common theme between our technical team, Dave and Mike, the guys there, and people at site, is that it's better than advertised than they thought it would be. And that's a good start. But, assays, I would give everyone guidance for August. And the reason for that was the slower drilling at start. We had to add more water trucks to get sufficient water while we were losing water on the way down. We've fixed that issue now. We've got a pretty good drill pace. But if we hit more veining and more silica and fractures, which we would assume to be positive, it will slow things down. So a little bit more patience. We can't control it. We are doing everything we can to have a quick timeline here. And under the circumstances, I think everyone's doing a phenomenal job. And so August sometime, could be early or late August, that we get this hole back and we're on to our second hole.
All right. Hey, Ivan, when you say jewelry box, I mean, I kind of have an idea of what you mean by that, but could you just clarify that a little bit?
Sure. On surface, just looking at the top 80 samples for silver, they run from 0.5 kilo to 300 kilo silver, and gold was running, 60 samples ran from 2 grams to a 934 gram gold. One thing on a lot of people's minds, Kerry, was, are we drilling underneath the 300 kilo silver and the 930 gram gold? That's our second hole. We are 800 meters away from the diatreme, and we're drilling to capture as many of these zones and understand the stratigraphy and what's going on in this first hole. Looks amazing, but that'll be our next hole that we drill. That'll be hole number 2. So many exciting targets to drill on this project. And once we get those first assays, I think it'll certainly set the tone of what kind of excitement could be out there, assuming we hit something, right?
No pun intended, but you barely scratched the surface. I mean, you have a 10,000 meter program, first phase, 6,000 meters, and you hardly drilled any of that so far.
Yeah, there's 40 holes to drill. That's what's permitted. The first 10,000, the first 10 holes, or 12 or 15 holes, that's going to take some time. But, the kind of system it is with the jewelry box on top and this world-class belt that we sit on, I don't think it'll take a lot if we start hitting for everyone to understand it and the stock to start to perform, should we start hitting it. But look, I'll say this, like, the footprint's getting bigger on surface. That jewelry box is going to expand as we're drilling our first hole. I mean, Peter made a good point. It's been astounding, this project, since we've acquired or started taking data from it. And that theme hasn't stopped. It hasn't slowed down. It's a huge system, a lot of grade everywhere. And there's going to be some pockets of really good high grade, I'm sure. But look, it's as exciting as it gets. And just anxiety's high we want results as fast as everyone else does.
Yeah, well, good things often take time. And Peter, Peruvian election, it seems to have been discounted at this point. But do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, since the last time we spoke, and from our first interview we had in the winter, what a whirlwind of news that has come out. A lot of headline news that got a lot of people scared, afraid. We've seen ridiculous reports of people saying, shed all of your Peruvian held assets. The country's it's going down, and the country's in great shape, and the people have spoken. They had what I think is a somewhat fair, from what I can see, observed election. Sure, Keiko Fujimori's side is contesting on a lot of the ballots, but at the end of the day, these politicians are for the most part figureheads. It's really who they appoint to their minister positions, and it's what the world is really looking for. And so far, Mr. Castillo, who looks like he might pull off the victory, and it might be announced within the next week or so, has really pointed towards having a very fair, open, democratic country, and is pro-mining. Of course, he's looking to increase royalties or some taxes on the producers, but tell me a country that isn't these days, and is looking to be pro-business as well. So again, it came out really hot. There was a lot of headline news. Newspapers don't sell anything by putting good news down our throats. It's always bad and fear-mongering. So it's never as bad as it seems, and it sure looks like it's going to be a good scenario for exploration companies and producers. It'll be fine.
No doubt. Fear definitely sells. And Ivan, you have anything to add?
You know what? I actually, and I have to say this carefully, but I preferred Castillo to win the election, and I do not fear him nationalizing mining or anything like that. Not with a country that relies on it as much as Peru does. I think very importantly, there's been no riots or protests in the communities. I know it's still being resolved, but most of the towns in Peru were in favor of Castillo, that the ones that affect all the mining or exploration camps. And, so for that piece to be in the towns where, whether it's Sombrero or Tier 1, to be harmony, we'll take that. And we're drilling. We don't have any issues drilling. We don't have any issues with permits. Peter made a great point. The cabinet ministers that are being appointed are people that we know and we've worked with in the past that we're very comfortable working with. So, as we said from the beginning, Kerry, we were not going to slow down. We made acquisitions during the election. We got our drill permit. We started turning a drill during the election. The only thing there, Peter mentioned there may be a bit of a tax or something added. I know Peru is watching Chile closely because these two countries are very competitive for foreign investment, and there's going to be a lift, of course. I heard it's going to be a nominal, a few percent to the mines that give back more to the communities around the mines, and we'd most certainly be supportive of that. I think everybody would be of that case, but I don't think it's going to be detrimental to the mining code. And you have to understand that COVID did take its toll pretty heavily. I think Peru is one of the worst globally that got hit by it. And the economy needs a few things. I mean, one, it needs that mining business to come back to life, especially when it relies on a lot. And number two, it needs a big discovery. And we're advocating to be Peru's next big discovery. And, hopefully we can help out there as well. But, so far in 5 years and 5 presidents of doing business in Peru, I've had a great time, politically. It hasn't ever, I've never lost a night of sleep on the politics of Peru. Just some things have taken time, but they certainly weren't the elected officials.
There's a real newsflash. Governments seeking to increase taxes and raise revenue. Where have I heard that before?
Well, you're going to hear it everywhere, as Peter said, and we all know, in Canada or the U.S. I mean, that seems to be they're conditioning us for that. So, look, they got to take a little more, long as it's a little, not a lot. I think we can all live with it, on all sides of the border.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, Kerry, as well. I mean, the biggest thing that we as a company, on behalf of our shareholders and behalf of the people we employ on the ground in Peru, is not navigating politicians. It's navigating and becoming partners with our communities. The communities are so vital in Peru. They are the ones that are getting the short change on this, or getting not as much as they think they should out of these producing mines up and down the coast of Peru. And so to really have that partnership with them, we don't look at them as an obstacle, look at them as try to get around them to get our work done. We partner with them. And there was no greater sense of that than our first day of drilling, when the community came and blessed our drill program. It was a beautiful ceremony, and it just showed that, they understand what it would mean to their community if we did come across a massive discovery, the employment, the jobs we would create. And it was really nice to have, because I know a lot of companies have run into issues with their communities all around the world. It's not an easy thing to navigate, but we truly are partners, and we're blessed to have such a great community working alongside of us with support.
Yeah, on that one, Kerry, I've seen it in Africa. I've seen it in Mongolia and Mexico. These are the places, and obviously Canada. And the welcoming ceremony and the good wishes, the support for us to be successful was astounding. It's number one, in terms of being well liked and supported. And I'd like to give credit to the team, down in Peru that has engaged so intelligently and so carefully with sustainable efforts with the communities. And there's a pretty serious camp that we've built, and we employ a lot of the local people. But no, this will be a life changer, not just for us as shareholders, but for the stakeholders too, for the communities. And that's really important to us. That's the case. So that's really nice to hear in a place that, as Peter said, Peru has some challenging communities. This is definitely not one of them. And we hope everybody benefits from it.
For sure. And hopefully the blessings will pay off in terms of drill results. Listing on the OTCQB any day now?
Yeah, we should be any day. I mean, automatically when US-based investors purchase shares of Tier 1 Silver while we are only on the TSX Venture, we kind of get this automatic pink sheet listing. Not surprising to us that it's been trading beautifully on the pink sheets. But we really want to get that QB listing to allow us to blue sky it in all the states and let the full service brokerage firms finally be able to come in and buy for their clients. So it really is just a matter of doing your application. It's all in. We've submitted everything, so we expect that really, really soon.
All right, good news, Ivan. Just share price right now as an entry point, highly favorable.
Opportunity highly favorable. The share price is all indicative of the opportunity, and I would say we're a month away from first results, and you don't get a shorter timeline really to get an opportunity to get something like this as an investor. Is this an expensive entry? Is this cheap? I mean, it's really irrelevant based on you could go up or down 50 cents. There's a long time to find out if it's not there, and I've said this a few times. It'll probably take us at least 25 holes or 25 holes to say we don't think there's a discovery here minimum, and that's going to take time to drill those. So I think there's limited downside risk. There's a very, very valid reason to have some shares of an opportunity like this in your portfolio. If you like something that's never been drilled, that has the jewelry box of high grade on this world-class belt with a really strong team of professionals behind it, it's more about having some of this opportunity in your portfolio versus what you pay for it in a sense. I think that the target, if it's legitimately there, it could be big enough that this price would be, you could see a huge return from this if the targets, it's definitely advertising, that scale, right? So yeah, I think just, for me, if I didn't own any shares and I was thinking about it, I would consider to make sure that I own some before and after. And if you hit, you can average in. And if you don't hit in the first one, you might be able to average down. But it's worth every bit of the excitement that you've seen. And that theme hasn't changed. I'd argue that it's getting better with the first drill hole being drilled, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, I'm glad I got my shares during the Oren spinoff, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the drill is going to reveal in the not too distant future. You mentioned drill results coming in August, and so go over to the website tier1silver.com, sign up for notifications. That way you'll stay on top of the drill results and you'll get the information as it's released. Of course, it's trading right now on the TSXV, and the ticker symbol is TSLV. And if you got any questions for Peter or Ivan, just shoot me off an email to kl@kerrylutz.com. Gentlemen, great catching up with you. Thanks for the update, and hopefully we'll know more soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kerry.
The Financial Survival Network.